In this video series, I'm going to teach you my tips and tricks to quickly develop and maintain an Eikan powerhouse. Today we're going to learn about how to manipulate the game to give you whatever OB you want. First up, if you're new, you may be asking, what is an OB in Eikan? OB is short for old boys, and there are former or current pros back when they're in high school. The OBs almost always have much better starting stats and abilities than the regular recruits you can get, so they can be extremely useful in your quest for Eikan domination. For example, here are the starting stats for Ichiro and Otani in 2023, the two best OBs you can get. This is insanely better than the typical Eikan recruit, which is typically between about 100 to 200 stars. Pitcher OBs wax regular recruits. There are many OBs that are 300 plus stars, and there are some things you can do to guarantee which OB you will get. Let's start off with how to pick your OB if you're starting a new Eikan school, because the method is a little different than pre-existing schools getting their future recruiting classes. When starting up a new school, the game asks you for a year and a prefecture. The simple method for getting the OB you want is to go to the year that the OB entered high school and go to the prefecture they're from. This will give you the OB you want 100% of the time if you're starting a new game. All of the OB information can be found on game8.com. The info is in Japanese, but you can just have the page auto-translate to English. I'll put the link in the description for that. To find the prefecture, if you're not too familiar with Japan's layout, you can either Google a map of Japan with the prefecture name, or you can just Google Translate the prefecture in the game to make sure you're on the right place. So here's an example. Ichiro started high school in 1999 in the Aichi prefecture. So I'll set the game to 1989 here, the prefecture to Aichi, and boom, we're gonna get Ichiro 100% of the time. Feel free to try this, but I'm sure many of you know this part of the method already. In order to manipulate the OBs in subsequent recruiting classes, you will need to be changing this year around pretty frequently. Some people may not like to do that for ruining their in-game immersion, but I'm sorry, this is what you gotta do if you wanna be able to pick your OBs. From now on, if I say in the past, all I mean by that is setting the year earlier than 2023. If you do decide to start in 2024 and you don't want to be changing the year around, your starting class only has a chance of having an OB, and the only possible OBs are from that prefecture. But going forward, with not changing the date and going into the future, again, if you start in 2024 and you're just going onward, you just have a random chance at any OB regardless of prefecture. Basically, as far as the OBs go, the prefecture after this first initial year does not matter after the initial starting class. So now let's talk about how the OB is decided for upcoming years if you decide to start in the past, which is what I recommend. There are two basic rules to get an OB when you're in the past years. Number one, was there an OB that year? Pretty simple, but you can check game8.com, and if there is no OB that year, you're SOL. If there was an OB in that year, this first rule is satisfied. To make it clear, the only OBs you can get when in the past is an OB from that year. Number two, you cannot recruit too many players with your scouting cards and items. I'll explain what I mean by this in a minute, but I think an example is the easiest. The game starts off giving you 6 recruits, 2 pitchers and 4 hitters every single time, before eventually you work your way up to a powerhouse, getting 10 recruits each year. Once you're at the powerhouse level, if you were to do no recruiting at all, you'd get 10 walk-ons, and of those 10 walk-ons, the game would give you 3 pitchers and 7 hitters every single time. So what I mean when I say you can't recruit too many players is if you want an OB pitcher, and OBs are always going to be walk-ons, if you recruit 2 more pitchers than the game would give you, it won't give you that OB pitcher. I do forget exactly how many recruits it takes before the game starts giving you 3 pitchers instead of 2 pitchers. So if you're below 10 recruits, I'd recommend only recruiting 1 pitcher from the Eikan items if you're looking to get an OB pitcher. If you want an OB hitter, just make sure you're recruiting 1 less hitter spot than the game would give you. I'll have a future video ranking some of the best 3-year OB cycles that I like to go through. I did save the best for last for everyone who stuck around. What if I told you could still do one more step to guarantee the OB that you want? You may have realized this, but the 2 rules that I gave earlier don't address when there are multiple OBs within 1 year, which kind of happens all the time. There's nothing worse than setting your year to 2010. You want Otani, you're going to get Otani, only to not get Otani as your OB because you get some other random shitter from 2010. Here's how to get the OB if you're choosing within a given year, assuming you followed rules 1 and 2. Step 1, save your game right before the recruits show up. Step 2, open up Eikan, start a new save. Don't worry, it's not going to overwrite your existing save. We're going to back out in a second anyway. Step 3, Skip the first page, and on the second page, set the year to whatever year your recruiting class is going to be. Step 4, look at the names on the right and see who the top first year guy that shows up on the list is. Obviously it's in Japanese, but use Game 8 to see the characters that you need to match for the name. The goal is to get the OB that you want to be the top first year on this list. The top first year listed is going to actually be the walk-on to your team, assuming you followed rules 1 and 2. Step 5, if the OB is not the one that you want, back out all the way to the main menu and then repeat steps 2 to 4 until you get who you want. Going to the main menu resets the order of OBs. Some years have many more OBs than others, so it can make this process a little more tedious. In this example here, I'm rolling for Otani. There are 45 OBs in 2010, so there's a 1 in 45 chance to get Otani. Typically, the earlier the year, the less the OBs there are, so if you're impatient, you probably want to stick to some of these earlier years. Step 6, once you finally get your guy, don't back out to the main menu, but back out of the new save and just load up your existing save. As long as you did everything right, you will be getting the OB that you wanted. Reminder that if you are changing your year in Eikan, be careful, as one of the options when doing so can reset your team. Nobody wants that. I always remember that I do not touch the left stick when I'm changing my year. It's just click the X. You don't have to change off the yes or whatever. I don't even know if it's yes or no, but don't touch the stick when you're changing your year. Bad things will happen. But as promised, Otani showing up as the recruit here. All is well with the world. I hope that everyone learned something new. Let me know in the comments when you try this for the first time. Get Ichiro, get Otani, get whoever you want. Thanks for all the likes and the love, and I'll see you next time. Peace.